And a very pleasant good evening to you on this Thursday night. I'm Chuck Mraz, and we're here at Buffalo Wild Wings live tonight, and we'll be talking some football later on with Rob Tenyer, one of the players on the football team. We'll also be discussing some other goings-on in MSU athletics. Ryan Fry from the Media Relations Department will be joining me in just a moment. And later on, of course, we'll be having some trivia, all sorts of stuff coming your way. All that and more on This Week in Morehead State Athletics. Stay tuned.
So lots of excitement going on for that program that won 20-plus games a year ago.
Well, tell us a little bit about Gabby Crawford.
Nice 6'2" forward, transfer out of Ole Miss. Played some big minutes in the SEC last year and had some of her biggest games against the biggest competition, most notably that Lady Vol program down from Tennessee, in which she set a lot of career highs. Got a chance to be very, very good for Greg Todd, and he's been a guy that has taken transfers and worked them in very well to what he's done here over the last couple of years.
Well, a 6'2" forward in the Ohio Valley Conference, that's not something you see a lot of. Many times they're 5'11", 6 feet even. 6'1", it's an advantage, and from what I understand, Gabby is a very versatile player, can do a lot of different things.
You know, and that's kind of what you've seen with Coach Todd over the last couple of years. He's had those long guards that can slide down and play the 4s and the 5s, and you know, a dominant post player in this league, as we've seen over the last couple of years, can help put up those big numbers and those big win totals that he's become accustomed to.
Well, and in the big win totals, you're talking about that, 320 win seasons in a row? That's not been done before that I can remember in a long time.
No, it hasn't been done in quite a long time, and it's been an impressive run, and it's come from transfers like Gabby Crawford. Last year, you had Aaliyah June from Rutgers and Crystal Simmons-Kozar from St. John's, and now you add Crawford to that mix, and it's been a good blend of newcomers and those transfers to build that program.
You know, a lot of people may not realize it, but both the Morehead State women's and men's basketball team have already started at least preliminary workouts.
Yeah, they've actually been working pretty much all summer and took a little break there as the semester started, and are now both back in full swing. Both are on the court today in practice, and you know, the season's going to be here before we know it, and the women's basketball released that non-conference schedule today, November 1st, their first exhibition.
You know, I'm not sure, but from what I remember, the teams can actually have full-scale team workouts. I think it's about 4 hours a week.
I believe that's correct.
So, and this is the prelim to full-scale practices starting at the end of the month.
That's right.
So it's a big deal. The other thing that came out regarding the MSU women's basketball team is the 2019-20 schedule, and boy, I tell you what, it's a doozy.
It is, and a lot of big-time programs on that list. You know, last year they went down to the national championship Baylor Bears, and they get a return trip to that. Not only do they go to Baylor, but they're at Michigan State and at Kentucky again. And one thing over the last couple of years, Coach Todd's not afraid to go and challenge his team.
No, and you look at it, I think their first ball game is at Bowling Green, a MAC school. They'll also be taking on, among others in their non-conference schedule, Kentucky, Radford, Dayton, Michigan State, Valparaiso, and as you mentioned, defending national champion Baylor. So by the time this team gets into Ohio Valley Conference play in the early part of January, it will be very much battle-tested.
They'll be very battle-tested, and two of the teams you kind of overlooked there shouldn't be overlooked. North Carolina A&T and Radford both gave two really good games to Morehead State a year ago. That's the one thing, is this is a tough schedule, and they will be tested, but once you roll into Ohio Valley Conference play, and you start right at the beginning of the new year at home against Jacksonville State.
And things will be starting off for the MSU women against Hillsdale, and that will be at Johnson Arena on November the 1st, and the time is still to be determined.
Yeah, that Hillsdale team is going to be a very good one coming into Morehead State, a very talented non-Division I team, and that should be a very good tune-up to that very tough schedule.
And I had someone ask me today, they saw the release regarding the women's schedule, and they were wondering about when the Morehead State men's basketball schedule would be released.
Yeah, Chuck, I got to say that one's in the works, and we're hoping to get that one out by next week, so just be on the lookout for that one, as well as it will also be a very tough schedule for the men as well.
Well, the women have kind of set the tempo in terms of being one of the top teams in the OVC now year in and year out. The men have been slowly building under Preston Spradlin. And to be quite frank with you, I'm pretty excited about this year. I think this could be the year after seeing that team win a game in the Ohio Valley Conference tournament last year after not making the tournament the year before. This could be the year that the program turns the corner.
And it's not just winning that game last year, Chuck. They got the number 5 seed. We know, obviously, the top 4 were very stacked, but they went out and they earned that number 5 seed. They won the game, like you said, and a very talented group of returners mixed in with a very talented group of newcomers as well.
All right, let's move to some of the other Morehead State sports. Soccer got that first win.
Yeah, it was a very big win against a MAC program in Akron, in which saw Morehead State freshman Gabby Nastasi pick up her first career goal off an assist from Holly Logsdon, and then the go-ahead goal off of a free kick from Nicole Palmer, who's been one of the top defenders for Morehead State. And she's taken a couple of those free kicks this year and put them on goal, and one finally converted, and the Eagles got that first win, and at home nonetheless.
Yeah, and when we talk about home, there's a new home this season for the MSU soccer team.
Yeah, a new home, the Morehead State Recreation and Wellness Field, a more homely atmosphere. It's a little closer to the action for the fans, and it's been good crowds thus far, and another chance for a good crowd tomorrow night as the Eagles welcome in Miami, another team out of the MAC.
Well, when you talk about the team having its own field, Ryan, how much do you think it means to that group?
Well, it means a whole lot to that group. It's a place that they call their own, and a couple new windscreens went up the other day, and it's starting to feel like home for that group. I mean, they're out there practicing every day, and this will be now, I believe, the 3rd or 4th contest on that home field, and they're starting to adjust to that as well, and they're playing some of their best soccer of the season at the moment.
Well, and that field was just built a few years ago. It's a newer turf. It's a nice field. They're comfortable practicing there, and now they don't have to work around, say, if the football team needs to practice, they have to be there. Sometimes the band needs to go out there, so you don't have all these groups trying to jockey for position for that one field at Jane Stadium.
That's right, and I think you're beginning to see that translate itself to the soccer pitch as well. As you know, tomorrow night, 6 p.m., they're out there against Miami, and it should be a good crowd. Expect a lot of people to spill over from the volleyball tournament as well, so expecting a big crowd tomorrow night and a great atmosphere.
A very young soccer team.
Very young, very talented group of freshmen and sophomores with some very good upperclassmen as well sprinkled in. I know Coach Lipka is very high on his freshman recruiting class, and you've kind of seen that pay dividends as Nastasia, a freshman, has played some good minutes, put up the goal. Palmer's just a sophomore, put up the other goal, as well as you've got Eva Kuiper playing an important role at forward, and then the 2 freshman goalkeepers, Kayla Landman, who's played very well against Akron last Sunday, and then Grace Gaffney, who's played some good minutes as well at Louisville.
Sounds like this could be the nucleus that could form a very good team for a few years.
Yes, that's what they're building for, and Coach Lipka hasn't been shy about it, trying to change that culture, and he believes that these groups are beginning to do that.
All right, next up, volleyball. Volleyball's off to a pretty good start right now.
Yeah, 2-1 last weekend down at Winthrop. Unfortunately dropped a very tight first match, but it was a very good match to kind of gauge where the Eagles were for taking North Carolina A&T in 3 sets, and then another tough match against Davidson came out on top of that one. And, I know, and being around practice today, they're very excited to get back at home for the first time, and another new venue for Morehead State as the volleyball team transitions from Weatherby Gym over to the floor at Johnson Arena.
Is that the floor in the back, the new floor?
It's the basketball floor. They're playing in actual Johnson Arena.
Okay, so that's a change. I mean, the one thing that I always felt like Morehead State had at Weatherby was a home court advantage because the lighting there is a little bit funky. The angles of the light are a little bit different. And now the team itself, it's almost like they're on the road because they're getting used to a new venue to play in.
Yeah, getting used to a new venue, yes, but played in the last 2 years 2 exhibitions there against Bellarmine, who's been a very good Division II opponent and has that familiarity as well as practicing, in Johnson Arena now. And very excited to have Presbyterian roll in tomorrow morning, Georgia State and Providence to follow. And I know it's going to be a fun-filled weekend of volleyball, and got a good opportunity to see a lot of good volleyball players.
Is it kind of a spacious field inside Johnson Arena when volleyball's in there?
Yeah, it is. The fans are a little further off the court than maybe you're accustomed to, but the girls have really adjusted to it well, especially through the exhibition back in the middle of August.
And obviously football's on the road for the first time this year, and a huge opponent on Saturday evening in Bloomington, Normal, Illinois, number 16, Illinois State.
It's another one of those coaches in coach tenure that's not afraid to go out and challenge his guys. And another ranked opponent on the road in the non-conference, and it'll be a good test for our team.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I thought it was a great performance against Union College, 44-7. Just a week ago tonight, as a matter of fact. Very solid on both sides of the football. In that first game, especially when you have several new players, including the starting quarterback, Mark Pappas, getting a chance to get his feet wet and kind of get his feet underneath him a little bit. I thought it was big to play well like that.
Yeah, Pappas played very well, put up over 200 yards passing and had a very solid night. Helped out a lot by his group of running backs, the 4 guys that carried the rock. They did very well at helping take some pressure off of Pappas early, as well as the defense helped take a lot of pressure off with the 3 turnovers.
Fall practices for baseball and softball underway yet?
Fall practice for baseball will begin in a couple weeks. I believe softball is the same way. I believe September 21st, softball will be playing some exhibitions in their fall schedule. They get a couple more exhibitions than baseball does, but both are in individual workouts right now with the full team practices starting up soon.
And for typically baseball, and as good as the baseball program has been, and there's a new coach in Mick Aoki, obviously, but under Mike McGuire, he had them doing a lot of inter-squad work, so basically they're playing almost an exhibition, it seemed like, every day, and I have to believe that Mick will try the same thing.
Yeah, and one good thing about those fall exhibitions is now the NCAA allows baseball teams, like the softball teams, to have multiple exhibitions, and you get 2 as a baseball program. Last year, Morehead State went out and played a very good Western Kentucky team down in Bowling Green, as well as went up to Cincinnati and played against Marshall, a very good team as well, and that paid dividends last year, and you saw that turn into 40 wins with those extra games of competition in the fall.
All right, Ryan, thanks for sitting in with us on the show.
Okay, Chuck, I enjoy you having me.
All right. Ryan Fry from MSU's Athletic Media Relations Department with us. We'll come back with more from Buffalo Wild Wings. This is This Week in Morehead State Athletics. And we welcome you back to Buffalo Wild Wings in Morehead. We're joined by Sarah Hacker, who is the Assistant Athletic Director in charge of External Affairs. I am no longer allowed External Affairs by my wife. She said that if I messed around, I'm gone, and I believe her. And I love my wife too much anyway. So, Sarah, great to have you back with us on the program. And, let's talk a little bit about game day atmosphere at Morehead State. I know that's something that as soon as you came in on the job in June, that was a high priority focus issue for you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. It's just something that's truly been a passion of mine, and is to really bring the energy, and I think it's definitely a new experience, a new atmosphere for Morehead State, and I think we have a lot of great things that are planned this year that are really going to help with bringing attendance numbers up, also increasing that pride and excitement on game day. So
we had
really
6150 for the first home football game. Mm-hmm. Good crowd. Are you pleased with that number?
I'm pleased, yeah. A 6 o'clock game start. I think that's tricky too when you play at 6 o'clock. Folks had work and things like that. But also, I think once we start rolling out our Saturday games, we'll have no issue getting crowds. We're being very creative on our promotions. Our tailgating opportunity has definitely been expanded. I know we mentioned last week with the Eagle Chevrolet Buick GMC tailgate zone, we're going to add a concert series every pregame. So for September 14th, that will be our first concert series with a regional band, Whiskey Business. So I've heard great things about them, and they'll perform 2 hours before game time. We hope that that draws with our student body, even our tailgaters, fans, all ages.
Yeah, I mean, has it been challenging to find new things to do, or did you come in with basically a list of ideas you wanted to try?
I think that's one of the perks about working with a great external staff. We brainstorm, we got a lot of ideas. I always say in marketing, you can't have a stupid or silly idea. Every idea has some sort of traction. So why not, we take something and we, keep brainstorming and what's going to work and what's not going to work. So I think it's important to be creative, especially in, our platform that we have here. We need to focus on game atmosphere and excitement, and why can we be that entertainment factor here in the region, and let new fans know that we're grateful for them too, and we have excitement that we can offer just as well as the talent on the field.
Well, you and I were talking earlier today, and you had a statement that you made during our conversation that kind of stuck in my head. There were more than one, really, but I just want to say
Thanks.
this one in particular, where you said, I have a passion for minor league baseball. And when you look at what you're trying to do here at Morehead State to heighten the experience of the game day atmosphere, how much of that is built around minor league baseball type stuff? Because obviously minor league baseball sells the experience, not just the game itself.
Definitely. I was raised in a baseball family, have been to many minor league baseball games. I worked in minor league baseball. I was given that opportunity where somebody passed me a wireless mic, and I was scared at first, but I treated it like an art. I took on the challenge, and that's what I love to do. And I know that Morehead State has never had that opportunity as a live MC. I think that creates to the game day atmosphere. I think the way we, what music we play in game, what activities and promotions and contests we do, it just brings that whole event to life. And that's the whole approach that minor league baseball does, and I think you can transition that into any sport. So take that concept and that approach and bring it into college football and college basketball, college softball, and that's what we're going to do this year. We're going to have a lot of fun doing it.
Well, I know that you're pretty hands-on on game day. You were out there walking the track in front of the home stands during the Union College Morehead State football game, and you're trying to urge on the crowd to get into the game after there was a big play. I could hear you after there was a touchdown or a field goal or an extra point or something. I mean, you were trying to get the crowd pumped up.
Yeah. I look at it as a fun opportunity to really get involved in the community. I went to school here, I played here for the Eagles, played softball, just had that pride run through me, and it's really exciting to be out there on game day. I've known Rob since he was an assistant, so to see him become a head coach that's amazing to me, to see somebody grow. So I want to support these fellas and support the student athletes in every opportunity that we have. So I think creating that excitement is something that is going to help us in the long run.
Well, I noticed, too, there was a little bit more music involved during the games in certain situations. And I've heard that at other places. You hear it at baseball games. So, I mean, would you feel like that was effective?
Oh, definitely. Music is everything, right?
Yeah.
Outside of athletics, music can really make or break an event. So our band, Dr. Dale, he does a fantastic job. Our cheerleaders, that's definitely an Eagle Empire right there. So I was very pleased with their enthusiasm the other night and the interaction that they have with the band and the crowd involved. There was a lot of smiling faces, and that's very important as a marketing and promotions person, and our staff we want our fans to be happy when they leave. we can't control what happens on the field. I really hope that Coach brings in W's every week, but we can control the atmosphere that we build, and if we can build a great fan base that's happy and exciting, and they spread the word for us, it's a win-win for everybody.
I also noticed, did I see maybe more giveaways too in the stands? I mean, I'm busy when I'm calling the game, but
I was going to say, Chuck, what are you doing?
I saw some T-shirts pass through my vision area, in my field of vision. I saw T-shirts and I heard the pizza stuff. So I mean, you got all that going on too.
Yeah, and I think that's another part of minor league baseball that I've really used when it comes to corporate development and sponsorship opportunities, and I think that's the best way for a business like Buffalo Wild Wings. We did a kick, pump, pass promotion on the field at halftime. I mean, anytime when we can incorporate these local businesses and showcase them in a promotion where we're telling a story to our fans, I mean, I think it's definitely, they'll remember that as a fan, and then they hopefully will become a customer of our sponsors. So anytime that we can incorporate that, we have a lot of time. I mean, there's several media timeouts that we can use that for contests and sponsor opportunities, and then we have a lot of time to do band interaction, cheerleaders, and dance, and couldn't do it without everybody. So it's a pretty awesome, I guess you could say, the marketing external team has a lot of great talent, and we're excited for the season.
So do you draw it up before the game? Okay, this media timeout, we're going to do this, and you have basically a little outline of what you're going to do every chance you get that opportunity?
Mm-hmm. So Devaney Redwine and I, we sit down. It's kind of like when you look at your game plan for the day. So it's just like a coach's philosophy. You got to have marketing promotions philosophy, what's going to happen. So say there's a great play. We have to have options on what music we're going to play. What's the crowd going to do? Am I going to ad lib and get on a microphone and keep that crowd and momentum excited? Or, if it's a media timeout, maybe the situation isn't what we would love it to be, does the band play? You got a lot of times you got to think on your toes, and we communicate well with all of us. So, Devaney and I, we put together these different options to go with. We obviously have some things that we definitely have to get in on game day, just because of our great sponsors that we have. So we make sure that we fit those in situations, and just any other exciting fun that we can add to it is definitely a plus.
Is it almost like planned spontaneity?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, people might think that marketing and promotions people are crazy. I mean, I always tell Devaney how much I appreciate her, because I have that squirrel personality. I might go from here to here, but it's just I have a lot of ideas, and I'm ready to take that leap. And what can we do that's outside the box and think big, and what can we bring to Morehead community that they've never seen before? So that's what our game day experience is going to be built from the ground up, and we're going to really engage with people and get them excited to cheer on the Eagles.
Well, and we talked last week about student involvement, and I felt like there was a good student involvement in the last home game, the first home game of the season for the football team. I felt like there was a good crowd of students, and they had bought in.
They did, and I think that's with their student government leadership with Colby. He was our guest last week. He does a great job, and I met him my first week that I was here, and that's important because he's the point person that is really going to help us engage with the student body. One thing that we've talked with our coaches all this summer and our captains on the team, we need them to be involved on campus and interacting with their fellow students, inviting them to our games, and creating that personal invitation. We're in a unique situation here, with enrollment sizes and the opponents that we play and things. We have to be creative to, get folks to our games, and I think we have a great approach right now with creating a whole atmosphere pregame, the engagement with our student athletes and the students, creating special recognitions and partnerships. Next week we'll be doing some resident hall things. We'll also be incorporating some things on the track that we haven't done before. So we'll have fraternities and sororities that will set up tents on the track and have that special VIP exposure to the game. So, any time that we can think outside the box again, think big, we're going to do it. And we're going to, we'll win some ideas, and some ideas might be crazy, but, you can't.
Got to try.
You got to try it, definitely. So it's like I like to say, you got to spend money to make money, right? So my challenge, obviously, is I have to increase revenue, and I think these are different areas that are going to help us do that.
All right, Sarah, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Chuck.
Sarah Hacker, Assistant AD in charge of External Affairs at Morehead State. We'll come back with more. We got trivia coming up in just a moment, so stick around here. We're live at Buffalo Wild Wings. It's This Week in Morehead State Athletics. Bill Redwine, someone who I've known for quite some time, and I like for most of that time.
Same here.
Well, Bill, you get 3 questions tonight, and depending on how you do, you might actually win something valuable.
Hey.
Maybe a free trip home from your wife.
Okay, that would be good.
It'd be a good start. All right, let's go ahead. All right, question 1. How many OVC Coach of the Year awards has, and this multiple choice, by the way, so you're going to at least get a chance to guess if you don't know. How many Coach of the Year awards has current MSU volleyball coach and interim athletic director Jamie Gordon won? I will give you a hint. He's won none for being interim athletic director. And here are your choices. A, 1, B, 4, C, 3.
I'm going to say 4.
I want to try again.
3.
Yeah, you got it.
Victory.
Amazing.
Victory.
Amazing. We don't have a phone a friend here either. All right. So it was 3. All right, now, what year did Morehead State football begin playing in the Pioneer Football League? A, 1996, B, 2001, or C, 1998?
'98. No.
No. You got 2 more chances to go. We're going to.
What was it, 96?
It's not multiple choice, it's multiple guessed. So try one more.
It was 96, 98, or
2001.
2001.
Yes. You're amazing, Bill. I mean, you're like the great Kreskin.
Isn't that incredible?
How do you know these things?
Yeah, it's like when you take a mulligan on the golf course, that second guy is great.
Yeah. I'm telling you what, those drops that nobody sees. All right, Bill. One more for the win here. All right. What has Morehead State and the Pioneer Football League, let's see, what has Morehead State led the Pioneer Football League in for 5 straight seasons? I'm thinking you're going to get this one on the first chance. A, home attendance, B, passing yards, or C, best radio announcers. Well, we know it's probably not C.
Oh, man.
And I know
that was what I was going with.
That's what you're going to pick. So you got either A or B on this one.
I think it's home attendance.
Yes, my man. Outstanding. Do you want to go for the bonus round?
Sure.
Why not? Let's do one more. All right, and we want to thank our crack staff at the MSU Media Relations Department for these questions. All right, who was the most recent Morehead State baseball player to win the OVC Player of the Year award? A, Chris Robinson, B, Cable Wright, or C, Nico Holzheiser?
Nico Holzheiser.
Oh, my. You're outstanding. Boom. 4 for 4, and you win a valuable prize, which the lovely and talented Matt Shabert will arrange for as soon as you get off the air. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was going to say, what, do I get a hint at what the prize is? Oh, I thought it was maybe, buying my daughter dinner.
Close. Bill, thanks so much. Appreciate you coming over.
Thanks, Chuck.
Bill Redwine joining us on the Eagle Nation Trivia Extravaganza. And we appreciate his time tonight. We appreciate yours for listening to us here at Buffalo Wild Wings. Sorry you couldn't join us, but we still have about another half hour, a little less than that. So come on over if you get time and say hello. We'll come back with more. We'll start talking some football in just a moment. Here as we continue This Week in Morehead State Athletics, live from Buffalo Wild Wings in Morehead. It's This Week in Morehead State Athletics. I'm Chuck Mraz, and We're live from Buffalo Wild Wings, and we're joined by redshirt junior running back Isaiah Aguero. Isaiah, thanks so much for spending some time with us on the program. We appreciate it very, very much. Excited about this week?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Morehead State's football team taking on number 16 Illinois State on their home field, their home opener, so you know it's going to be a big crowd. You know it's going to be exciting. You kind of enjoy that when you get that energy from the crowd and all that stuff that goes on with an opening day?
Yes, sir. Can't wait to play in front of all them people. It just brings more out of you, brings more of the energy out.
Well, let's talk about your journey to Morehead State. It's been kind of an interesting one. I understand you're from Knoxville, Tennessee originally.
Yes, sir.
Then you went to junior college out in California and wound up coming back this way. So I don't know if you drove it, but I would say by now you might need a new set of tires.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I did drive it. I ended up driving it actually. Moved there my 8th grade year. Moved to San Diego my 8th grade year. Drove then, and then came back to Knoxville, and then ended up going back my second semester to get my diploma and pay in-state tuition for JUCO out in California.
Okay. How'd you like California?
Love it.
You know what? One thing about it, I noticed, I've been there a few times, it's really brown.
I love it. The weather's perfect all the time, Southern California especially, and I do love it though. I do love it.
Well, what brought you to Morehead State? How'd you wind up here?
I had a couple offers, and then Milo Austin hit me up, and then big influence was my mother from Knoxville, Tennessee, and wanted to be close to her, and then I wanted her to see me play every single week as many times as she
Did she get a chance to come up?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's not too far, 3.5 hour drive, so it's not too far. And my family's out. Most of my family is from Knoxville, so it's easier for them to come see me play. So that was a big part of that, and playing Division I football.
Well, I mean, your mom coming here, your family members out there in the stands watching you at home games give you a little bit of extra juice on the field?
Absolutely, 100%. Always, middle school, high school, anytime I see my mother in the stands, it's go time. It's personal.
Well, this is your second year here. I know that last year you got off to a pretty good start, had some injury issues, and wound up being redshirted after playing in 4 games. You got off to a very good start. We talked about 22 carries. I think it was 93 yards. That's pretty close to 4.5 yards a crack. And then this year, I mean, the first game, 13 carries, 131 yards, and a 45-yard run inside all that. So you're off to a nice start here at Morehead State all the way around.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Was it tough for you last year when you had to make that decision when you got banged up? And, you know, it was that thing, you played 4 games already and you're at that limit, so now you have to decide whether or not to maybe redshirt. What went into that process? Talk about it.
It was very hard. I never wanted a redshirt. It wasn't in my mind when I first came to this school. But after a couple ding ups, and we were deep at running back. We were playing 4 or 5 running backs. So that's really what made my decision was kind of playing time and just being 100% healthy every week and making sure I could practice 100% every day, which I didn't really, you know what I'm saying, I was kind of hurt. So that kind of made my decision, was just a couple dinged up, and I know we were deep at running back, so that kind of helped my decision.
Well, you're sharing the position right now, for the most part, with Jovan Smith.
Yes, sir.
You guys have a little bit different styles. I mean, he's kind of, he's got some good speed, gets to the outside. He can dodge and dash a little bit. And I know you've got a lot of power, and you like to run through people or over them, or however you can get your yards, you get them.
Yes, sir. We're like Batman and Robin. We're real good friends, and I feed off him, and he feeds off me, and we're ready to go. And if he puts his hand up, I'm coming in. If I put my hand up, he's coming in. If he needs a break, I got him. I need a break, and we just feed off each other real good, real good.
Well, talk about that first win and what it meant to this football team. I know it was a tough finish to last season, but getting on that field, I mean, I know you work all through the winter in the weight room. You go through spring ball, then you've got preseason practices in August. You finally get a chance to play somebody else. And I mean, I guess you guys are probably chomping at the bit.
Yes, sir. We're ready to go hit somebody else, ready to go play against somebody else, ready to execute what Coach has been saying, and we definitely need to be better this week. I think we had 17 penalties, 18 penalties last week, which
I ran out of ink in my pen marking it.
Absolutely, and it's just all camp, all preseason we've been talking about discipline, and we did not show discipline that game, but it was fun to come out and hit somebody and get a W. The W is what counts, but it wasn't a very pretty W, and we've been focusing that on this week, just being disciplined. You can't have 17 penalties. It's hard to win with 8. I think we had 17, 18 penalties or something like that. So that's what we got to focus on, and we have been focusing on this week.
We talked about Illinois State, one of the better teams in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Very good on both sides of the ball. We'll talk about your offense against their defense, and defensively they're pretty tough, but from what I understand, they don't do a lot of unusual things. They just say, we're going to stop you, and we're going to do some base stuff, and that's all we need.
Right, and we're tough in the O-line right now. We are very tough, and those guys are ready to play. That's where it starts. That's where it starts, O-line and D-line. That's where the energy starts. That's where it's just physicality, and if they want to come up and, you know what I'm saying, say they could out-tough us, and it's going to be hard to. So we've been executing our plays this week, and we are ready.
What are the keys in your mind for success for the Morehead State offense against the Illinois State defense?
Discipline. Got to be disciplined, and we got Pap at quarterback. Plays like what he did last week. We got a very good chance. He's very accurate. Getting the ball out quick, running hard down their throat, and discipline. We got to stay disciplined the whole game through 4 quarters, and we got to play hard through 4 quarters.
Yeah, and I was talking to Coach Tenure about this earlier. Sometimes it's not about making the big play, but being solid on every play.
Absolutely.
3 to 5 yards a crack. You keep doing that, you're going to get your first down, and suddenly you're going to be in the red zone with a chance to score.
Absolutely, and that's what we got to be tough in is the red zone. The red zone, we got to be above 90% in the red zone. That's what's going to help us be successful. And like you said, 3 to 5 yards a pop. 3 to 5 yards a pop, get the ball out quick and run it down their throat and move the sticks.
Well, this is the type of game that can really prepare you moving forward for the rest of the season, can't it?
Absolutely. This is going to be a test. This is going to be a test for us this week, and we're excited. We're excited to go over there and just play and show people that we can play with anybody.
All right, Isaiah, thanks so much for being with us on the program. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll be talking with your head coach, Rob Tenure. I want to wish you good luck.
Thank you.
I'm counting on another 130-yard game. Can I do that?
Yes, sir.
All right, man, we got you.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Isaiah Guerrero, redshirt junior running back here on the program. I'm Chuck Mraz. We'll come back with more from Buffalo Wild Wings on This Week in Morehead State Athletics. We're live at Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm Chuck Mraz with Morehead State football coach Rob Tenure. Rob, great win last week over Union College, but the challenge this week a whole lot bigger against number 16 Illinois State, a fine football team out of the Missouri Valley Football Conference, a good league.
Yeah, we can't. We're done celebrating week 1, aren't we? We're into week 2 and playing a heck of a football team. Illinois State, I don't know, 15th, 16th ranked FCS, but going to have our hands full. It's a very good opponent, very well coached football team. But you know, both of us are still really looking for an identity. You know, who we're going to be, what we're going to be about. I still think that, you know, going into the game, you're going to have to be prepared to make a lot of adjustments in all 3 phases of the game. And so, you know, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a tremendous measuring stick for our football team. And I know our young guys are fired up to play the game.
When you look at this matchup from a physical standpoint, and I've looked at their team, and obviously they've got some great football players that are very athletic. They've got some speed. How do you feel like you match up?
Well, I mean, on paper, you know, I think one of the lines got them, you know, winning by 58 points. On paper, it probably should be that, but that's why you play the game. You know, you go and you play the game. You prepare to play the game. You come up with a game plan and you try to put your athletes in a position to go into a game being successful. And you know, this is going to be a business trip for us. We're going to go and play our best. And I think these are games that, you know, as a football player, as a young man on Morehead State University football, FCS, non-scholarship, PFL, these are the games that you circle on the calendar, on the schedule. And these are the games that you look forward to. You get to play in the venue of, you know, 15, 20,000 people. And you get to go play against the best of the best. And obviously, when you sign up to play college football, that's what you want to do.
We talked about this aspect of it too earlier. Northern Illinois beat Illinois State last week. That's a team out of the MAC and FBS school, 24-10. It was 10-10 into the fourth quarter, and then Northern got a couple of late touchdowns to pull away. So they had a loss in their first game. They're playing their home opener against your team, and they're going to come out fired up and ready to go, and that crowd's going to be into it from the get-go.
Yeah, evening game, going to expect, I'm sure, a great crowd. Bobblehead night, for the head coach, Coach Spack there, and it's going to be a great venue. It's going to be very similar to a James Madison, a Liberty, and that type of opponent. So, the big thing for us in these games is just going into it with a little confidence, but also getting a good start. You mentioned also, Chuck, this week just about making a big play in the beginning, getting an early touchdown, getting a big stop on defense, creating a turnover. Those things help you settle in, and if we can do that at some point early in the contest, it'll help our morale, help our confidence, and I think allow us to play a little harder.
You played last Thursday, so you actually had a couple of extra days to start preparing for this game. How much does that help?
Well, extra day of prep, it was important for us. We're going from facing a spread team, a 10, 11 personnel team, to facing a team that's going to line up with 2 and 3 tight ends on the field. 2 and 3 running backs sometimes, and so it's a lot of change. It's the first time our defense has had to prepare for that. When you think about Coach Brinson coming in during the spring, facing our offense, just a lot of 10 and 11 personnel, and now having to develop a plan to line up and face 2 and 3 tight ends, 2 back sets. Going to line up, run power and counter and outside zone, and big guys. And so felt like that the extra day of prep helped us, and I think we got a good game plan. I thought we had a really clean practice today on both sides of the football, and looking forward to watching our team compete.
You mentioned that power run offense that they have. It's led by one of the nation's top FCS backs. He may be the best in the business, James Robinson. What's the key to defending that run of Illinois State?
Just trying to cancel some gaps, trying to make him run laterally, more than vertically, and we're going to do our best to do that. He's a great back, and I think they're very talented up front. They got 3 seniors on the offensive line, and they're talented. They're big and strong, and they're good at what they do. And so for us, I think the objective is obviously to eliminate some of their best runs, and but we got to also focus on play action and some of the passing tree stuff that they do offensively. We got to be able to defend them in the pass game as well.
Yeah, we can't.
But it starts with the run. If we can defend the run and play hard and give great effort, hopefully we can make some things happen.
Well, Davis, their quarterback, is a transfer from Memphis. He had a good year last year, and his first year as a starter. And you mentioned that. You're right. You can't forget about a guy like that because he can hurt you.
Yeah, and I know they lost a big-time receiver from last year, but I think they got some good weapons. And they got the number 12 slot receiver. I can't remember his name, Chuck, but he's a good player. He reminds me a lot of Ian Holder. Maybe a little bit more speed, but he's a good player as well. And they got some good weapons. I mean, they got some guys with game experience, and they got some guys that are really talented with the football in their hands. So, got to try and keep everything in front of us. Don't allow any big plays over the top, and just shore up our run defense and make sure we're not giving them a lot of big play, run gaps, and just kind of closing some things out.
Well, we've talked about it too, tackling well. You can't miss the opportunity when you get Robinson bottled up. Can't miss the tackle.
No question. And I felt like for the most part we did a good job week 1, and that's something that we emphasized in our extra day this week. We did a live tackling drill, and it's something you always gotta work on. And you're limited to 1 day a week contact now, and so you gotta be creative with your practice plan and make sure you emphasize that each week, and we've got to do a better job of that as the year progresses too.
Offensively, I know Mark Pappas got a chance to get his feet wet as the starter last week, and he had a good ball game, throwing for 3 touchdowns, running for another. And how big was that for him to kind of get that behind him, because you can only have one first time out there, and there's probably a little bit of nerves involved with that. Now he's done that, he's been there, and he can move into his second game.
So just like any other starter, any other position, you want to make progress. Each time that you go out, and that's what we're gonna hope that Mark can do, and we're confident in him and what he does and how he runs our offense. And thought he played a really, really good first game, and he'll have a little more on his plate this week as far as our play menu. Make sure we're in the right play type thing. And I think he's ready for that. He's had a lot of reps, a lot of practice time. Goes all the way back to spring, when him and Zach both were competing for the job, and both of them basically split the reps all spring. And so they got a heavy dose of what we're doing. They understand how to run our offense. And I'm excited that, Mark had a great first game, and he's got a lot of room to improve. He knows that. But I think that we can win a championship with him.
How do you expect Illinois State's defense to attack your offense?
Without giving too much away, I just think they're really sound in what they do. I think that the scheme that they run is very sound. I think they balance the field really well on defense. I think they disguise some of their coverages really well as well, pre-snap. And sometimes that makes it difficult in the pass game. So, our job offensively is going to be to try to put our players in a position to run good plays. Stay out of negative plays, and then pick your spots. When you're going to take a shot vertical and things like that. But we're going to run our offense. We're going to tempo our offense, and we're not going to try and slow things down. They're going to slow it down enough offensively for their run game, and they average about just around 60 plays a game, maybe a few more. And so they're going to chew up a lot of clock, and we got to make sure when we possess the football that we're changing field position, and we're trying to get in a position in the red zone and score points.
Well, and running the football, you keep that potent offense of theirs off the field. If you can move it on the ground, you've got the guys up front, I think, to do it, and it looks like you've got the guys behind them carrying the ball, like Isaiah Aguero, who we talked to earlier, Jovan Smith, Mario Convenuto, and some others behind them.
Yeah. No, we're doing some good things, and we want to continue to progress there. We've got to continue to technically work out some flaws that we have, but I think that we got a group that's really determined. They're working hard, and that that's really both sides of the football. I think our offensive and defensive line has made a lot of improvements, and this game's going to be very challenging for both of them. And they're gonna have to face some stout guys, and they're going to have to play tough. They're going to have to play physical, and I know they're up to it.
All right. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate you coming over, Rob. We'll see, I guess, Illinois State, hopefully a big ball game, and ending up with a Morehead State victory.
That'd be great. Thank you, Chuck.
Rob Tenyer, coach of the Morehead State Eagles, with us. His team plays number 16, Illinois State, coming up on Saturday night, and that will be in Bloomington Normal. And then the following week, back at home for a 4 p.m. start on that Saturday against Kentucky Christian. Make your plans now to be there. I'm Chuck Meraz. Thanks for joining us tonight. You've been listening to This Week in Morehead State Athletics, live from Buffalo Wild Wings right here in Morehead. Thanks again.